Remembering the Martyrs of UCCP Cosmopolitan Church. Mary Boyd Stagg, a member of the American Methodist Episcopal Church, arrived in Manila together with her husband, Reverend Samuel W. Stagg, in 1923. The couple was part of the 60 members of the Central Methodist Church at Calao Street, Ermita, Manila, that seceded from the American Methodist Episcopal Church in March 1933. Reverend Cipriano Navarro, Dr. Melquiades Gamboa, and Reverend Samuel Stagg were instrumental in the founding of the Philippine Methodist Episcopal Church, which in turn led to the establishment of the Cosmopolitan Church. The Cosmopolitan Church building was established in 1936. From 1942 to 1944, the church building was used as a base of operations by church members who were also part of the anti-Japanese guerrilla resistance forces during World War II. When Reverend Samuel W. Stagg was recruited as a U.S. Navy intelligence during World War II, Reverend Mary Boyd Stagg took over as pastor of the Cosmopolitan Student Church. Reverend Mary Boyd Stagg became the first female ordained Protestant minister in the Philippines. She was popularly called Mother Stagg by the members of Cosmopolitan Student Church. During the Japanese occupation, Reverend Mary Boyd Stagg was deeply involved in the underground resistance, supplying food and aid to prisoners of war, obtaining intelligence on Japanese military forces in the Philippines, and fighting the Japanese through counter-propaganda. Members of the church were also active in humanitarian relief work, distributing food and medicine, and performing welfare activities for displaced persons, fugitives from the Japanese, including Chinese business and community leaders and resistance fighters. Betrayed by a Japanese double agent, Mary and her friends, Dr. Hawthorne Darby and Helen Wilk, were arrested, interrogated, and tortured by the Japanese in January 1944. Around the last week of August 1944, they were taken from Fort Santiago in Manila by the Campetai to the Cementerio del Norte, where they were beheaded and buried. The Cosmopolitan Student Center building was eventually seized by the Japanese in September 1944. The building was rebuilt in 1945 after it was burnt during the Battle of Manila. The common grave of the three martyrs was found in 1945. In 1948, Cosmopolitan Church of the then Philippine Methodist Church became part of the United Church of Christ in the Philippines. In 1956, Mary Boyd Stagg, Dr. Hawthorne Darby, and Helen Wilk were posthumously conferred the Philippine Legion of Honor and were awarded the Medal of Freedom by the United States government. The remains have been exhumed and reinterred at the UCCP Cosmopolitan Church. To honor the mission work and martyrdom of Reverend Mary Boyd Stagg, the sanctuary of UCCP Cosmopolitan Church is named after her.